Afternoon and welcome to Game 8 of the NSL, the Seawolves versus the Royal Black Fleet. My name is Lamerck, founder of the NSL and your host for today's exciting naval competition. I am joined today by a very special co-host, last week's victorious Admiral Atticus. How are you, Atticus?
Not too bad, Merc. Not too bad. How's it going
Good.
yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. Very excited. I think today's battle is going to be one of my favorites. This is either going to be, I think, an overwhelming victory on one side or the other, or an extraordinarily close match. And I don't know if it's going to be anything in between. Why don't you queue up for our listeners who's battling today, what teams are going to be on, the map and the details, etc.
So today we have the Royal Black Fleet versus the Seawolves. The Royal Black Fleet consists of the 8th LR, the 26th, and the FRL regiments. They will be on the British side in the gold or yellow ships. Opposing them are the Seawolves. That is the 77th Regiment and the HLG Regiment, and they will be on the French side. They will be in the green ships.
Mm.
The map. I'm
Nolakis.
Malacus. This is a map I
Nolakis.
haven't seen. I'm not 100% sure if it's been used
It
before yet.
it actually has. It was used in the Seawolves last. This is the second time Seawolves are battling in this one. Their last battle against the Vod Coalition, in which they, really crushed the Vod Coalition in one of these narrow alleyways between these large diamond-shaped islands. Do you recall that map?
I recall the large diamond shape. Yeah, it's one of the more
Hmm.
unique maps that we have. So absolutely yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the second appearance for the Seawolves in this particular arena. Obviously, first time for the Royal Black Fleet. I think their only battle so far has been against us, Atticus, and that was in in our first battle in the league. Um, so let's dive in a little bit to some predictions, some stakes. I really want to sort of set up the what the conditions are for both of these teams coming into this battle, what they need to prove. I'd say when it comes to the Seawolves and the Royal Black Fleet, we have two teams that are coming off of victories, and but they're different kinds of victories, and I think each of them has something to prove to the league here today. For the Seawolves, their last victory on this map against the Vod Coalition was the most overwhelming victory in the league thus far. I think they won by over 20,000 points, which is the largest point differential between teams. And I don't even know if they lost any ships. It was a brutal and overwhelming victory over the Vod Coalition. The
It was.
Royal, yeah, go ahead.
It was. It absolutely was. And I think that probably gives more to a tactical error on the side of the VOD coalition rather than an overwhelming skill on the Seawolves. So I could be wrong. We'll see today.
Yeah, I definitely, when I was looking at it in the wardroom, I felt that this was a battle that the Vod Coalitions lost, less so than a battle that the Seawolves won, because just a sort of hesitation on the Vod Coalition's part on this map allowed the Seawolves to get into such a dominant position from which they held really well. This is not to take away from the fact that the Seawolves are an incredibly powerful team. They are absolutely in the top, I'd say, third of the teams in the league. There's no question, but that's what they need to show today. They need to prove against a more competent team that they are able to continue to deliver those massive, massive victories. And as the VOD Coalition comes up, I hope they get a chance to fight them again one day, and the VOD Coalition can really throw it back at them. But for right now, the Seawolves are going to be fighting the Royal Black Fleet. Now, the Royal Black Fleet, their victory is complicated. By combat, they lost against our team, the Leviathans. However, they did win due to our disqualification because of the gunboat stuff. So, I think the Royal Black Fleet, and tell me if you agree with me on this, Atticus, their stakes is to show that that victory wasn't a fluke and that they are a team to be reckoned with in this league. And not only can they win through their opponent's mistakes, but they can also win on their own merit.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more on that one. There's a lot for both teams to prove today. This is, like you say, they both won their first games in differing circumstances, but unproven circumstances, I think, are the best. Is the best term.
Yes.
They're both unproven in battle. So today, there's a lot riding for both teams.
Yeah, I definitely, and I just, this is the opportunity to see more, and that's what I really want from both of these teams because these are not either of these are not bad teams. These are good, strong teams. And so the idea of getting to really see two good teams come together and hash out who at this point is better or worse. That's what's going to be the real drama of today's engagement. Now let's again put our cards on the table like I like to do. Atticus, I know you have a fairly controversial opinion here. I will put my cards on the table. I think the Seawolves are probably going to win this one. I think they do have excellent cannoneers. They're going to be led by Sabo today, who I know to be an admiral par excellence. And so I'm just thinking that the Royal Black Fleet, with their diverse coalition of regiments, that could cause communication issues, and that could also interfere with more unified trainings. That could be something that drags down their battle readiness for today, where I don't see quite so many of those factors against the Seawolves. But I think that I've heard that you have a differing opinion, and that you're going to be championing a different winner for today. So tell us about that.
So I'm my prediction today is the Royal Black Fleet, and I've got two reasons for that. I think the Seawolves are going to suffer from overconfidence. They're
Mm.
good. They are a great team, but I think they know it, and I think they may rest on their laurels a bit today. Secondly, from what I did see from the Royal Black Fleet when we took them on, they had very good fleet work. Now, I've got nothing to compare that against for today's match because the Seawolves didn't really have to do much fleet work in the situation they found themselves in. They found themselves in an opportune situation and took advantage of it. Um, what we saw against the Royal Black Fleet was a lot more caution, and what surprised me during the fight was a fantastic decision made by their admiral that probably allowed them to live longer than they did on the battlefield.
Yeah,
And
they're
I
they're
think they
they're
could go ahead.
they're used to the 13 gun, and their distance with the 13 gun, the
Hmm.
Royal Black Fleet in the battle with us, that was remarkable, really remarkable that they kept that ship up until the end of the game. It does show a serious understanding of the distances and restraint. So I definitely agree with you on that. I think your reasons are really good. That there is a possibility that the Seawolves are very overconfident here. I mean, listen, again, Sabo, who I know, and he's been a correspondent with us many times. He is a really, really good captain and a really good admiral. But I don't think anybody could ever accuse him of being humble. And so I think that may come into play. And let's see if, hubris is a part of that, or if he just talks a big talk, but when it gets into battle, he snaps in and he values his enemies, for what they are instead of maybe what they think they're going to be. Yeah, I could see that being a huge factor in this, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. The map obviously favors the Seawolves as they have experience on it. But I think that battle was such a climactic battle. I think a lot of eyes were drawn to it in the league. I think a lot of people watched that battle, and I am quite sure that the Royal Black Fleet's admirals did as well. I don't, and the wind. Oh, we haven't even talked about the wind. That is going to be a huge factor in this. So the wind is going south today. We don't have the map up for you just right now, but just imagine it is going directly into the face of the British fleet. So the Royal Black Fleet um, are going to start with the slowest speed possible. That seems like a bad thing to have, but we've had some experiences in the NSL so far that show that starting with bad wind does not mean that you end with bad wind. Often it means that by the mid game, or at least the late game, you have the wind at your back because the fleets tend to circle one another. So your early bad wind turns into your later good wind, and so that could be a point in the Royal Black Fleet's uh, uh, benefit. But even more than that, the Seawolves won their first engagement on this map because they got to a choke point before the VOD Coalition could. With the wind against the Royal Black Fleet, they cannot contest a choke point. They're going to know as soon as they see this wind, oh, our starting position is going to be very slow. We do not have the wind. It is directly against us. We're going to be going, very slowly forward. And therefore, they're not going to try and get to one of those choke points ahead of the Seawolves. They're probably going to yield the opening move to the Seawolves and then react to that move in whatever way they can. And that's going to stop the Seawolves from repeating their performance against the Bot Coalition. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. The onus from the start is really on the Royal Black Fleet. I hope that they've taken the wind into consideration and had a good chat amongst their admiral and their crews. for the simple reason that the decision they make coming out the blocks is going to set up the rest of this battle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
they need to be ready to have that wind in their face, and they need to have planned for it. They need to have planned for it without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, no, they've known for about a half an hour. For those of you guys who don't know how it goes behind the scenes, the wind is the last thing that these admirals find out. They know the map ahead of time. They know their opponents ahead of time. What they don't know, what nobody knows until about 30 minutes before the battle starts, or maybe up to an hour, but even still, a short period of time is where the wind's going to be going. So we get them into a call, and then we randomly generate which the wind is going to be. I'm hearing that we are about to get started. So we'll get into the map and we'll talk a little bit more about how that wind is working. We'll introduce you to the teams. Atticus, you could kind of take everybody. You'll have the overhead, so you could take everybody through what we're seeing and where the wind's going and what the teams are going to be doing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I cannot wait. I can't wait. I seriously though, I really hope this is a close one. I hope this is such a close and a battle like down to the wire. I would love it. These are two teams that can absolutely do that. No question about it.
And without a shadow, they're both very, very talented teams. Some of them have different experience of naval than others, but
Mhm.
they all know the game.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, again, the map is the Nalakas map. You'll see 4 large islands dotted throughout the center of the map, and from there, we'll introduce you, show you where the two different teams lie, and talk about again that southern wind. All right, we have it. So as you can see, the 4 islands, they do make channels between them. Those could be choke points. Um, and Atticus, you let us know when you're kind of ready to take a look at the two teams and introduce, which side is which for the viewers.
Absolutely. I'm just getting my camera in place now. It is a very large map.
It is a big map. It's a huge map.
So I think that'll do us to start with. So from the overhead, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen is the Royal Black Fleet, those beautiful golden British ships. On the right hand of your screen, you can't quite tell that they're green, but I assure you they are green. The French fleet of the Sea Wolves. And as you can see from the mini map in the bottom right left-hand corner of my screen, that wind will be going directly south, straight into the faces of the Royal Black Fleet.
Yeah. So, let's game out the beginning here. We have about a minute before this starts. So, either the Royal Black Fleet and the Sea Wolves could go to the center, right? There's a center sort of square created by the inside borders of these islands, or they can go on the outside. If you have the wind, you're going to jet into to hold the center. If you do not have the wind like the Royal Black Fleet, you're probably going to end up going on the outside of one of these islands, and because taking a hard left or a hard right is going to get you the most wind the earliest, whereas going straight is going to have it, it's going to take a long time to get your fleet together. It's going to take a long time to get your formation in place. um, so where those opening moves start us, I think that's my prediction. Do you have a contrary prediction, or you think something different is going to happen, specifically with the Royal Black Fleet going against the wind at the start, Atticus?
Nothing contradictory, but I know what I would do. I would want to negate that wind pretty early. Pick a direction, get going, get a little bit of wind behind you, and it looks like we're seeing sails unfurling now, as we are.
We are should be live.
Here we go. Yep.
All right.
So I think early on, all eyes are, as you say, going to be on the Royal Black Fleet and see just how they deal with this wind disadvantage.
I'm really expecting a hard turn in one direction or the other. I would
It,
probably say port side, like left, but that's just a hunch. There's no way to know.
no, there's not. Interesting from the French fleet, from the Sea Wolves, they are putting an 8-gun out first.
Hmm.
That 8-gun, he dropped his sails immediately, and the rest of the fleet kept them up. So we
Yeah,
know we know what they want leading the fleet.
I've been interested to see that a lot of the regiments and the fleets and the teams tend to not be putting their 13 gun directly in front anymore. And I think that's a good innovation overall. You don't want your flagship to be taking the first shots of the round. You'd rather it be on an 8-gun because, you know, 8-guns, if they sink, that sucks, but you still have your flagship. It looks like the French are they're going hard starboard. They're going hard to the right, whereas the Royal Black Fleet are going hard to their right as well. So we have both teams going hard right and not really either way going at each other. This is surprising to me from the Seawolves that they're not charging the center. The the speed that they're able to produce right now, the best thing that they can do is go south because they'll get that fleet formation even faster. They're actually slowing themselves down by going this way. And as you can see, this is going to be a very slow start to our game. This is one of those things where, because of this decision, we're not going to see any action for the first few minutes of this battle. Instead, we're going to see a very slow exit from the Royal Black Fleet and a slower than I expected exit from the Sea Wolves. Where do you think this battle is going to start, Atticus? Like, where do you think it's going to happen?
Normally I'd tell you with great confidence where it's going to happen. At this minute, I don't know. It all depends on, especially what the Seawolves do once they round this first island. So we'll know what their intentions are pretty soon. I'm going to assume they're going to want to hug that western wall and
Yeah,
come around the back and use the wind advantage to allow them to get into the back of the Royal Black Fleet. But
yeah,
if the Royal Black Fleet see that, I mean, it's a move that they're going to have to telegraph. Then they're not going to be able to be sneaky or clandestine in that move. So,
yeah.
inter-
I'm not a massive fan of this opening from the Seawolves, and it's mostly because the best thing you can do is hit the Royal Black Fleet while it's still dead against the wind and it doesn't have the maneuverability. These islands are humongous. They provide a lot of barriers to the turning, the counter turning that can happen in a battle like this. You know, like if you charge at an enemy and they don't have the wind, they then you rotate around them, then they do have the wind. But the Royal Black Fleet is not in a position where they could turn to the left right now and hook and do a big circle. They would hit an island. So charging at the rear of this fleet right now would actually net the Sea Wolves. I mean, it would have if they crossed across the center. But this is a very conservative battle. I think what we could definitely say here is that Sabo is not falling for, you know, hubris. He is not engaging the enemy with, you know, disregard. Instead, this is a cautious opening from a team that won by the biggest margin in so far NSL's history. Obviously, you're right, Atticus. They are starting to make signals that they're going to be hooking around this island and probably diving down through the center. Then we're going to see how far the Royal Black Fleet can get because they're very slow. I mean, look at the Royal Black Fleet. Some of their sails are cut. They're not moving at all. And having the 13 gun in the lead is preventing them from moving at all because the 13 gun is the slowest ship
it's
against the wind.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I suppose this slow start does give us an opportunity to do one thing, and that's introduce our correspondence for today.
There you go. Go ahead.
So I'm not sure who's on what ship, but our correspondents today are Mika from the first RM. Say hello, Mika.
Good day. Today I will be on the French flagship.
Excellent French flagship. From the KRN, we have Swaggington.
Hello, I'm Swaggington and I'll be on the French second 8-gun today.
Thanks, Swaggington. Good to have you along. Also from the KRN, we have Wavy.
Hey, I'm Wavy and I'm on the first British 8-gun, which confusingly is at the rear of their fleet, but they're happy and raring to commit war crimes.
Listen, Wavy, you're gonna get action before anybody else does in this battle. That's my prediction. So
I
it's good that we
know,
got
and
you there.
I hope this padded armor will protect me against
Yeah,
cannonballs.
keep that helmet on.
Yeah.
Also, we have Lucius from the number 13 or number 16 regiment. Sorry.
Hello, hello.
Sorry to
And
get
you-
your regiment wrong there, buddy.
And which ship are you on, Lucius?
I'm on the second British 8-gun here today.
Thank you.
And we also, from the same regiment, number 16, I got it right this time, we have Spicy Paper.
Hello, I will be on the British 13 gun.
There's our flagship man for the Royal Black Fleet. Hopefully, you see a lot of action from you. And finally, from X is Supple.
Hello, this is Supple on the Shandong, the first French 8-gun, currently third in line in the fleet.
Okay. All right. Well, we can see now how this is developing. And we'll tilt the overhead just a little bit down because we will see some action towards the lower part of the screen here, because it looks like that's where the battle is going to be taking place. So it's going to be towards the east. And you can see now that the Seawolves are making a beeline to try and get to that gap before the Royal Black Fleet can turn their corner. They're not going to, but that's what they're going for. So the question now is that when the Seawolves get a little bit closer to those two eastern bottom of the screen islands, whether or not they do a turn in one direction or another, or if they actually do try to pass between those two bottom islands. If they try to pass between those two bottom islands, they may find themselves in a situation much like what they put the Vod Coalition in their last battle on this map, where they are charging a choke point, but the enemy's got the T-cross. I don't think that's going to happen. I would be very shocked. But as we get here, we are getting somewhere close now. No, not really close to in range yet, but this is where the action is going to start here. This is where the action is going to start, and it does not seem that the Seawolves are slowing down or turning at all. This is very dangerous if they come in like this, because they can only turn in really one direction. If they continue to go straight down, straight east, right, down towards the bottom of the map, they can really only turn right to their right. So now let's see how this goes. Yeah, this is going to be that's a great vantage point to really see how this is playing out. You can see that the Black Sea Fleet is in a position to cross the T of the Seawolves. What are the Seawolves going to do here? They've got to turn. They cannot continue going this way. It will be a slaughter if they do so.
I'm getting echoes of the first round, the Seawolves' first game. Sorry, I think the Seawolves are gonna hug the right side of this island dead ahead of them.
They're gonna turn left here, right, and then they're
but
gonna just square up. But
they
man,
are,
if
but
they're gonna
they're
take some hits, I think.
yeah, and they're putting themselves into the wind after having the wind advantage as well. So they're going for the line battle. They're not going to be able to cut the Royal Black Fleet off at all now. Any hope of being able to do that is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, this overly conservative opening, I think, didn't win them anything here. I don't think. I mean, they're not getting tagged too much for this so far. They're just staying out of range, right? You could see most of these shots are just barely missing, though obviously the 13 gun shots are hitting the Seawolves 13 gun, but it's not a lot. It's not a lot of damage.
And just in the bottom of your screen, you can see that the gunboats are now facing up against each other.
Yes, they are.
Both teams opting for 2 gunboats first out. No sign of rocket boats yet.
Okay. So this is a situation in which, if the Seawolves are not careful, they're going to have that 13 gun. Their lead 13 gun is going to be in range of everything, while the Black Sea Fleet's 13 gun being at the lead of their line is not necessarily going to be able to be hit by everything. I think they are. I think now the Seawolves are taking a little bit more damage to their flagship.
But they do now have position, though. They do have position.
See, now this is where the Black Sea Fleet could get into big trouble.
They've carried.
I mean, the Black Sea Fleet. So go ahead.
The Seawolves have carried a tremendous amount of speed on this turn.
Yeah, we need to get a look at the lead Royal Black Fleet ship. So let's go over to Spicy. Let's take a look at Spicy's screen here and really see what the damage could be, because I'm shocked at the speed that they managed to keep, whereas the Black Sea Fleet, where is their speed? They're all going at like half sail. This is horrible. Spicy, what do we have?
Yeah, this maneuver here where they just turned right into it doesn't seem to be doing them any favors. We were doing fairly well, taking minimal damage until, not that long ago when we just started taking a lot of the raking shots. Multiple cannons are down on the left side.
Yeah, this is a suicide charge now.
This was a questionable turn in.
I am shocked. I am shocked that they would allow this to happen when they had all the time in the world to see this coming.
The
They had
biggest
all
problem,
the time in the world.
they're making yet another elementary mistake now. Now they're blocking off each other's other ships. Their 8 guns are now lined up. Their 8 guns are now lined up side by side.
Look at this from the overhead. This is horrible.
This is a horror show for the Royal Black Fleet. And at the top of your screen, you'll see the health. that sliver of health, that's the Royal Black Fleet's flagship.
Yeah, they're
This-
done. That thing is going to be sunk any minute now.
Yeah, we
and,
also have no more cannons anymore.
and with oh my god, this is the doomsday scenario for the Royal Black Fleet. This is exactly what happened in their battle with us as well. They turn when things get bad for them. They turn and they block every single one of them. Blocks every single other one of them. Flagship's down already. Basically, Seawolves. This is it. The Seawolves win. I mean, that's how easy this is for them right now. They have taken no damage. They have taken no damage. They got that turn off. They kept their speed up. The Royal Black Fleet was sluggish and completely unresponsive. I don't know what they thought they were going to do here. They thought I don't know how they thought that they would have an even match doing this, but they did nothing. They did absolutely nothing to counter what could be seen coming from a million miles away. We knew that the Seawolves had to turn. We knew that they were either to turn towards or away as soon as they passed that island. What could possibly have been going through the admiral's head at that time? You needed to stop your fleet and position to receive the enemy, basically. Set up a good defensive perimeter and let them come at you. And that is completely the opposite of what they did. They just kept sailing forward, and there does not seem to be a plan, and it does not seem that they are able to construct a plan now. As you can see, the Sea Wolves are keeping their line. Even though the line is staggered in distance, they have their most powerful ship furthest away, but that's fine because it has the range. Their smaller ships are not blocking one another. There's no chaos in the ranks. So, these two teams both had something to prove. The Sea Wolves had to prove that what they did last time was not a fluke, and clearly, it was not. Their specialty is getting the enemy to just fall into the dumbest and easiest traps. I mean, I don't mean to say dumbest on the Seawolves part. I mean, it is just it stretches credulity that the Black Sea Fleet could have possibly fallen for this. I'm shocked. I'm shocked by this.
I'm stunned. I'm lost for words here. Let's go to a correspondent. Let's go to Spicy.
All right, Spicy, what do you got?
So this is the stragglers from the flagship. We're currently trying to board the lead 8-gun.
Wow. The thing that I cannot understand is that the Seawolves approach this position from the entirely opposite side of the map. There couldn't be a longer period from which to predict what they were going to do.
They do have a chance to salvage something here if they keep up what they're doing. If all three of these ships focus down, they've pulled range. The Seawolves have now spread out quite a lot. Whatever shots they're taking now, they're difficult shots. They're not straightforward shots. Their damage output's going to drop. If the Royal Black Fleet can continue to punish this eight gun that they're all shooting at now, and take that out, I mean, it's not over. It's an uphill struggle from here, but I don't think it's over yet.
It's not over till it's over. But the signs of it being a decisive battle in which the Seawolves again do not lose a single ship are all there. And the reason being is, again, they haven't even all three of these guys concentrating on this one ship have not even taken it down to half yet. They haven't even taken it down to half. And of course, we always want these battles to be close and exciting, but I cannot lie to you, audience. This is a slaughter, and it's going to continue to be a slaughter. If they take a single ship down, I will be really shocked at this point.
They got a constellation gunboat.
Oh, there you go. A constellation gunboat. Nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure, the gunboat crews, I wish we had more time to concentrate on them, but I mean, as you can see, the Seawolves are now reforming to cut across the back of the Black Sea Fleet's line. And the Black Sea Fleet at this point, I think, have basically given up, and they're just going to try and sink this one A-gun. And that's what they're going to do. They don't seem to be doing anything with the rear of their line to create any kind of defensive posture against the entire rest of the Seawolves fleet, which is cutting around behind them.
Let's go to another correspondent.
Yeah,
Swaggington,
please.
what have you got for us?
I've just been watching the accurate, constant gunfire from the 77th. It's on point. They are doing a really good job with its communications, quick and concise. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, the
Sounds
77th
good.
have always been a really, really accurate. Like they're a phenomenal crew, a gunnery crew, and you just can't run face first into that. You just can't.
Yeah, they were raking the side of the 13, taking its guns out that weren't even loaded as it turned in, so
Right.
they knew to spread out their fire.
I mean, look at this. This is unbelievable.
Wavy, what's been your experience so far?
Really, very little on this back ship because most of the time their shots have been blocked. They did start to get in some good shots against that 1-8 gun, but now they've turned away and given up on that one. So I don't think they're going to sink anyone this match beyond
No, it doesn't look
one
that way
gunboat.
now.
I don't either. They've had to give up on fighting the one that they were targeting just because of the overwhelming fire that's coming at them. Now they have to contend with the 4 ships of the Black Sea Fleet. This is going to be one of those. This is going to be another one where the ship or the points at the end of this are going to be like huge, huge. When we fought uh, the Black Sea Fleet, I mean, we had a pretty big window of point victory over them. I know it got reversed, but like after the battle, this is going to be orders of magnitude
It
larger.
is. It is. Wavy. Sorry, not Wavy. Mika, what have you been seeing? You're on the French flagship, aren't you?
Well, most of the battle has been pretty dominant French victory. At the start, actually the 13 front gun took out a couple of our cannons on the starboard side and seemed it was going to do actually some damage, but that ended pretty quickly.
Yeah, most likely by that raft of cannon losses Spicy was telling us about. Lucius, what about you? How have you been experiencing the fight? You with us, Lucius?
Use your push to talk, Lucius. You can do it. We believe in you.
We'll switch to Supple. Supple, what are you seeing at the minute?
I only have commendations for the pinpoint accuracy of the 77th. They've been calling out every single ship they want to hit, especially that 13 gun right at the start. They picked that out very early. And other than that, just Sergeant Linknito grinding his axe with a fury and going on marine actions every now and then. But very little damage sustained and a huge amount of damage put out, so very impressive.
Yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful round for the Seawolves. There's no way to say it otherwise.
And it does look like they're about to lose another 8 gun. Can't be far away now.
New enemy gun.
Now, the only real question here is
port side.
how much.
Advise.
The inevitable is coming. How long do the Royal Black Fleet stave it off? Do they turn starboard or port here? It looks like they're going to port, but
I mean, the best thing that they can probably do now is just try to make a little distance, draw some of the enemy ships in, mess up a little bit the Seawolves formation and try to pick off a ship or two. The best they can hope for is sinking 1 to 2 ships. I don't even think that's really in the realm possibility.
I think that ship has sailed. I mean, their 13 guns now have one. They have a gunboat and a rocket boat coming up behind them. The rear 8 gun of the Royal Black Fleet's line, and it's just been an absolute disaster to the Royal Black Fleet from the very start of that engagement.
Yeah, disaster is exactly how I would put it. And I can't stop repeating it. What baffles the mind is that this was not a quick setup. This was not a quick trick that the Seawolves pulled on them. This was coming for ages and ages from the other side of the map. This was something that, I try to stay really neutral for these, but I have to say, this is something that a competent admiral could have prepared for in any situation. They could have turned their ships to get the cannons just facing. What did Nelson say? A good captain just turns his cannons towards the enemy. That's the bare minimum, right? And it didn't even seem like the Royal Black Fleet was capable of doing that in the face of a very far away hard charge from the Seawolves. And because they were not able to get their cannons in, they got raked. Their lead ship, the most important ship, got raked. Now look at them. They're breaking in every direction. There's only 2 ships left. They're not really that cohesive. I can see that the furthest one is probably trying to turn around and follow. They're going to try and cut off the Seawolves from the rear. It's the right choice. It's just not going to do anything at this point.
Far
It's
too
just-
little, far too
it's-
late, I'm afraid.
They just don't have the firepower to threaten the Sea Wolves. So if the Sea Wolves want to sacrifice their rearmost ship just to hold these guys in place and then swing the rest of their fleet around, they'll have that option. They have every tactical option available to them since the beginning. They've lost only one boat so far. They're maybe going to lose two. They just lost their second one. But I mean, this is not... Oh, unreal. I'm sad actually about this. This is a sad outcome for the Royal Black Fleet.
It's very anticlimactic, as you can see. More rocket explosion. Well, at least one rocket explosion on this 8. And there goes another. I mean, this 8 gun could end up getting taken down by a single rocket boat at this point.
Spicy's supposed to have a boarding party.
Let's go to Spicy. Spicy.
Yeah, show us something fun.
Yeah, I was on that 8 gun that just sank. We're about to board the French leading 8 gun.
All right. You know, and again, boarding actions really great, and they look like they're doing a pretty good job. They've stopped the operations of the ship. Does it matter? Not particularly. All right, yeah, those boarders are done. Well, gosh, I am, even now, after all this time, I am still stunned by this defeat. Yeah, go ahead.
It was how quickly it all fell apart for the Royal Black Fleet. Go ahead.
I want to start talking about epilogues here because we don't have to talk about whether this battle is who's going to win. We know who's going to win. So let's talk about what this means, okay? Because we talked a little bit about how the Sea Wolves have been sort of the beneficiary of their opponent's mistakes. Do you think, Atticus, that this is another example of that?
Oh, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Because I don't want to take away from them. Obviously, they did something right on both of these to get their opponents to just, I don't know, make the most like clownish mistakes when it comes to their fleet maneuvering here. But it's sort of shocking to me that could happen twice. So you know, when it happens multiple times, you have to think: is it the enemies, or is it the defense that's messing up so tremendously, or is it the offense that's just like brilliantly executed? I you know, again, from my perspective, I just don't think I would have fallen for that. Listen, when they crossed down the center, that was a bold move, and I think it was a good move, right? They were like, oh, okay, these guys are running from us. We better get in there and start the fight. And that's all well and good, but you know, there are excellent defensive options that the Royal Black Fleet had, and they had all the time in the world to execute them. But I don't want to take away from the Sea Wolves. Like, clearly they've got some secret sauce here. They've got some magic that makes enemy fleets just trip over themselves when fighting them.
One thing that's impressed me from the Sea Wolves today, their gunning accuracy is outstanding. Outstanding, yeah. So my takeaway from this is 2 factors: firing accuracy, cannon accuracy, and tactical blunder.
But again, you know, there is no doubt that the especially like guys from the 77th, I know, are really, really, really good. You know, we had every person who was on one of their ships said it today, the correspondents. Like, I know they have extraordinary cannoneers. But even the same as this battle is the same as the last battle. They don't have to start shooting until they're right up next to the enemy. For some reason, the enemy just lets them get so close that even the most, you know, mediocre of cannoneers could hit these shots. And it's not like anybody's firing back at them. They keep crossing the T's of all their enemies. So, you know, it's not even like we get to see the true, unbelievable skill of long-distance Sea Wolf combat. We're seeing here that they just get in front of the enemies. The enemies just sit there and watch them get in front of them, and then they just mow them down like grass, which is a beautiful thing to watch. And I'm sure that the Sea Wolves are absolutely in a state of bliss right now. But, you know, again, like, this wasn't what I wanted, because I wanted to see the I wanted to see the Seawolves really checked and challenged, and to see
people
how they got
that-
out of that, how they dealt with an opponent that really could give them a run for their money. And it's obvious that the Royal Black Fleet was not that ship or that crew today. It was not.
Wavy here got a potential
Yes.
boarding action.
Let's head over to Wavy and let's see some of the final moments of this battle. Tell us what you're seeing here, Wavy.
Well, this is the first British 8-gun going in for a massacre, apparently. You told me... You told me that armor would work against cannonballs, you lied.
I never said any such thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
But, yeah, that about sums up the battle. They went in close and they got annihilated.
Yeah, that really does, doesn't it? Wow. Wow. Unbelievable. Well, viewers at home, we'll have a fun one with this in the wardroom. You know, the thing here is, you know, you can't just watch an enemy set up on you. You can't just watch it. You don't, even if you have no wind at all, you can still turn your ship. You can still turn every one of your ships. And then when you get hit from the front, you can't just have every ship turn at the exact same time. There's different ways of maneuvering your ships. You can make them move like a snake, where the first part, you know, it turns, and then the second part doesn't turn until it gets to the part where the first part turned. Because if you turn everybody at once from a line pointed directly at the enemy, then you just block every other ship. And that's what we saw earlier in this battle. When the Seawolves began to engage, the Black Sea Fleet just turned every ship and just said, okay, well, I guess we're going to just panic? I don't know. Atticus, could there be any other explanation than just pure fear and panic from the Black Sea?
Once the flagship went down, you could see the panic on the captains. They weren't sure what to do. I've been in the situation where my flagship's gone down, and I froze in that moment, not sure quite what to do. It's possible that's happened to the Admiral of the Royal Black Fleet, and that's why the 8 guns.
Hate to interrupt, but Lucius here on a boarding action about to take place here.
Let's see it.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Never mind, I got grape shotted.
And that's the best way to defend from a boarding action.
Sure is. That's why those 8 guns are really actually very, very dangerous supporters. More so than even the 13 gun, which 13 gun doesn't have a lot of those defenses.
And it looks like they're about to envelop this final 8 gun, and
Yeah.
it's not long for this world now.
On Swainson, the British have captured a French 8-gun.
Really? Okay, let's take a look.
There were 3 boarding actions in a row, and I think they were the ones you were cutting to from the other perspective, but they have actually been captured.
Okay, well, I mean, that's... Again, is it going to change anything? Absolutely not. Is it very interesting? Yes, it is. Let's watch.
They keep
Now they're
sending
respawning
rowboat
in.
after rowboat with a few people in
Uh-huh.
at a time, so...
Wow.
And-
Yeah. Go ahead.
And this is a fantastic strategy. It's just too little, too late.
Yeah, it would have been great, I don't know, 25 minutes ago. We're getting down to almost the end of the battle here. This has stretched on all the way almost to the end. So, you know, no one can say that they didn't die easy, you know, or they didn't die hard. They did die hard here. And so, you know, I guess the only thing that the Black Sea Fleet can really take out of this battle is that they didn't get wiped out instantly. They got wiped out with 2 minutes and 41 seconds left on the clock. Let's take a look at these point differences from the overhead. This is going to be huge. Holy Jesus.
Language, 26,000 difference.
This right here propels the Seawolves into the team most likely to come out of this preseason. We're not going to have like a final championship round in the preseason, right? We're going to just end it when the last battle is over and have considered it a great practice preseason, you know, to get everybody involved and to get everybody, you know, kind of blooded a little bit in this competition, so that they, you know, and then the season 1 is going to be where we have a championship round and we declare a true winner. That said, there will be an unofficial winner. There will be somebody who has the most wins and the fewest losses and the most points. And right now, that is the Seawolves, and I don't see how any other team, I wish it could be mine, but I don't see how any other team can catch up to these overwhelming point total victories that they're going to have. So that even if the Sea Wolves and have other teams who have the same victory and loss ratio to them, that those teams are never going to rack up the amount of points that to contest that. Because if you have the same victory, the same win-loss ratio at the end of the season, then it will be the point total who determines which of you it did better. And I think the Seawolves have made a very convincing case that it is them.
Well, Merc,
Wow.
Merc, you better start working on the strategy to turn those scores around, because your next game and the Seawolves' next game, it's the Clash of the Titans.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. And I can't say that I'm gonna beat the Seawolves, but I will give them a lot better of a fight than they've received so far. No question about that. Nonetheless, I think it's time to, first of all, thank our correspondents. Thank you guys so much for your coverage. I wish there was more for some of you guys in the British fleet to sink your teeth into. And I know that for the French fleet, it was, just how these guys are doing a really good job. So thank you all for being with us. And obviously, thank you as well, Atticus, for joining me. Are you ready to hear from these admirals?
I'm ready when they are, yep.
All right, we'll get one in here. We got Gilly in here. How you doing, Gilly? We will get to you in just a moment. We'll get to you in just a moment. Chewy, where's Sabo?
He's coming. We
All right.
just had to talk to all the crew,
Tell 'em what I-
mercenaries and non-mercenaries, and
Very
just
good.
thank them. So anyone who left before that, thank you for coming out today. If
right.
you're on the Team Seawolves, on the other side, I'm sorry, but good fight.
All right. Well, we'll talk about whether that was a good fight or not. Sabo, I'd like to congratulate you on another, for your team, overwhelming victory. So along with Chewy's first victory against the VOD Coalition, this is another massive, overwhelming, no wiggle room, complete victory on your guys' team. Another one, I believe, in which you did not lose a single large ship. So, Sabo, tell us a little bit about how the battle was for you. We were surprised by your conservative opening, but once you crossed the middle and charged towards the enemy, they seemed just completely unprepared. I will ask them how they could possibly be unprepared, but we want to hear what you guys thought going into this, if you had a plan, and tell us all about it.
So I only concocted my plan the moment I spawned in and saw where the ships were.
Mm.
So I knew what I wanted. So we all wanted. I thought we'll go around for the outside and see where the other fleet went, and see if they would match us or if they'll go for the other side. So when they went to the other side, I decided to stick with going to the right, and then we all decided as a duo, myself and Truth, to cut through hard left and get through in front of them, knowing full well they'd never get into a good spot before we got there instead. And it proved we got there well before they can be prepared for us. They weren't ready for us. They had nothing against us. So it was a really good call what we did to have a bit more of a passive start rather than, yes, we had the win, let's just go full throttle. Nah, I thought let's sit back and see what happens first, and then instigate what we do there.
Yeah. So, there are a few things that I want to pick your brain about, because I thought you guys were going to charge the center, then see what happens from there. And that conservative opening surprised us. And the thing that shocks me in this battle is that though you guys, I mean, it played out this way, no doubt, but you guys came from the entire other side of the map. And so I'm shocked that not only did you think it would work, but that it did work, that coming with such a huge, I mean, there was, you were going to cross the middle. You were going to come at them. You were going to go between those islands. I felt that the other team had all the time in the world to turn their cannons into you, at least. So what were we not seeing that you were seeing when you felt that you could get there and still cross in front of them? Because clearly you did, but I am shocked that you were allowed to.
The win.
Yeah. We could
You had a
see
half
just
win at
judging
that point,
from the
though, right? You
speed
didn't
and the
have
distance
full
they
win.
covered. Yeah, I didn't have full win until we got around the island, and even
Right.
then we didn't have full win. But they still had that wind against them, which obviously meant they couldn't have all the speed in the universe. And we saw how quick they weren't traversing, and that we were actually covering more ground. So we did see we could definitely make it, and if we do make it, it might be a tight one. And also the place where we caught them didn't allow them much movement, so we did manage to pinch them and squish them in there.
Yes.
As they barely got any shots off on us. So I ain't gonna lie, I think I'd lost 2 cannons.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys were virtually untouched. I think one of your Acons got down to half HP, and that was basically it.
I was absolutely shocked by just how much speed you guys carried around as you turned into the wind.
Yeah, you turned against the wind. That shocked me as well.
I said in commentary that I didn't think you would be able to get ahead of the Royal Black Fleet, but you did, and that took me by surprise. I don't know if it took the Royal Black Fleet by surprise, but the sheer speed you guys carried into the wind, I think really put you in a great position.
Yeah. So I guess without much of a firm strategy coming into it, I think for you guys it was a lot of like sort of instinctual. Okay, we see an opening here, we go for it. Was there any point during that approach that you were concerned that your headlong charge at the enemy could kind of they could catch you, or were you feeling basically good the entire way?
We knew sailing out of spawn, that was basically the plan when we saw them turn and we're like, oh, we can beat them there. We knew it. So we lured them in, committing to sail around our one island because we knew how bad full wind against you is.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to make that.
Wow.
Only, I think, a little bit before did me and Sabo fully commit when we saw they were shooting at us. But outside that, we knew we were going to get cannons faster to bear than they were, and that we were going to probably repeat what we did in round one.
I'm shocked. I was left speechless. Like Atticus and I were. I mean, we talked, but we felt speechless throughout this entire battle because it kind of, to me, it broke all the rules. It broke all the rules, and so just the fact that it was such an overwhelming victory for you guys is just. I mean, it was thrilling and it was sad. Like it was both at the same time. So, just congratulations to you guys. Is there anything else that you'd like to make commentary about this battle? I wish I had more questions for you, but again, just like your last battle, there's not a lot to chew on. It was one major move and it just fucking worked. So what? Like it's just one decision. We talk about decision points in the wardroom that I host, and usually there's like 5 or 6 decision points, moments in which they make. You guys always have one. You make one call, and then you just go for it. And so, tell us a little bit. What is there anything that we, the commentators or the audience, just don't know, or that you want to tell us?
Well, like you said, most of it's instinct because a lot of the time we're quite versed in playing naval and the naval events and stuff. So we're used to how the ships move and all of that, and when they're quickest, when they're slowest. And we also discovered our fun thing of turn quite quickly in this. Even if you got sat still, you can turn fairly quickly and keep angle. So we just learnt all of that from what we did in trainings and all that, and just took it all in stride and says, well, you can make a plan as much as you want with as many steps as you want, but it's going to fall at one point and then you won't know what to do. So yeah, we stuck with the one point of let's go this way and see what happens.
Nice.
And then went from there. And it was all reactive of, oh, ship's behind us, one can hold back. Oh, gunboat's there, one pull back, get shots in, need support, call it. If you don't need support, don't worry about it. And yeah, it was just all instinct from all the captains, and it was fantastic work. The communication between all the captains in our chat, and the crew did fantastic as well. The mercs, our members from the team, fantastic shooting from all of them. Some great communication for all of them.
I think one of the most common refrains from all the correspondents on your ship was just how great your cannoneers are, and they are. They're just a great cannoneering team. So congratulations to them and to you, Atticus. You have any final questions for our victors?
None really. As you said, the victory didn't leave many questions for the victors, really.
I have a lot of questions for the other
on
team.
Another win.
All right. Well, yes, congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your participation, for your time, and another a most solid victory to take with you through the preseason of the league. You are the team to beat right now. There's no question about it.
I'm glad I took a half day off of the firehouse to come here.
Yeah, this was definitely worth a day off, huh? All right, so let's transition over to Gilly. How are you, Gilly? We're very sorry for that defeat. We have lots of questions about the decisions here. So let's talk about your opening, right? Against the wind can be very dangerous. You chose to, took what we agreed, as commentators, we thought that, going to one side or the other sharply at the beginning is basically the right thing to do. It gives you distance, it gives you time to form. But the questions come in, Gilly, when these guys charged at you from literally as far away from you as physically possible, the entire other side of the map, and then they somehow cross in front of you. Tell us how that happens.
They still had wind. Like they were saying, even if it wasn't full wind, they still had wind that allowed them to move at a quicker rate than us, like you mentioned. They got across the map to the midpoint before we were able to even cross that island.
Yeah. So, and as that happens, when you see them coming in towards you guys, right? And you're still going, basically straight forward. At what point, like, when does like the reaction, like, what was your reaction, and what was the thought process? Was there a communication breakdown? Was there you tried to turn, but you just like what stopped you from reacting ahead of time to the charge? Because like I said, like, there was a tremendous amount of time to not just like, I mean, they could have turned in any different direction, but it did seem like they were bum rushing you, right? And so, the question that we had is, why wasn't there a sort of a starboard side turn, even though it was going to be slow, but to get your cannons into rotation a little bit? Because they ended up, kind of getting in front of you. They turned with the wind that you guys also had. So, just take me through the thought process there, and the communications between all of you, and then the flagship sunk, and then the whole fleet turned and blocked each other. So there was a lot of maneuvers here that impeded your ability to respond. And why do you feel that happened? Do you have any lessons that you've pulled from this? Like, just tell us about your thought process through all this.
I will, but let me also say congratulations to the Seawolves. My comment about the wind, I hope, doesn't come off as me trying to belittle their win. It was an advantage, and they made good strategic and tactical decisions with that. So I just wanted that to be clear. They still did really good, even wind or not. It's not like that was the deciding factor. We saw them come towards us, and we weren't clear of that back right island that we were trying to go by. And I brought up the suggestion of everyone just hard turning right to starboard and looping around with the wind again. But the issue with that is they were mid map by that time, so they could have split their force and cut us off the way they did, as well as potentially send someone behind us because we were all moving into what would have been their initial line. So to
Okay.
commit, even though it wasn't a great decision, it was
But it
just
helps
a
us
bit.
understand, because we were kind of like, I know Atticus and I were sort of like, whoa, they're not turning. You're getting hit from the front, but there's no turn of the fleet. And so to understand that you were worried about anything coming through the rear, that makes it make sense to me. Please continue. Tell us more about your, the thought process, and then, that turn after your flagship started getting hit, like you were about down to half HP, the entire fleet turns at once. That ended up blocking you guys from getting it. So that was a simultaneous turn from everybody. And tell me a little bit about how that happened. Was that a communications issue, or what happened there?
No, I had told everyone to just immediately turn left. Once we were at half HP, we had lost a significant amount of cannons on both sides. So there was a point where we were just kind of a husk. And I told everyone to just turn and try to reform a second line. And I didn't think there was a chance of salvaging the 13. We had lost the carronade, most of our side cannons. So it literally was just sort of a buy them time to try to
So
do something from the shit spot that we were in. Excuse my
you
language, sorry.
wanted to just absorb the hits, basically sacrifice the 13 gun. Now, after that, did you see a win condition? Did you see a path to victory after that moment, that the 8 guns could have done something to reverse the flow of the battle? Or at that point, was it just mitigating losses for you guys?
I believe it was mitigating losses because they still were more coordinated as a enemy fleet. They had better positioning while we were just trying to survive in that moment. So I don't think going into a shootout with them would have won. They didn't split, and I think they just coordinated really well. And it would have taken a couple of lucky shots on their cannons to render them combat ineffective. But even then, they still had their other side. So it was a slow attrition, really.
Yeah. Well, we did say that the kudos that we wanted to give to you guys was that you did die hard. You really that last 8 gun didn't die till there were 2 minutes left in the round, and so it was not just this like quick, decisive obliteration, but it did feel like the battle was lost relatively early on, and unfortunately, that just led to what we thought, and obviously I think you were also feeling that, which is just sort of how do we not lose as badly from this point? How do we salvage some ships, make the battle go on, accumulate a few more points, and so on and so forth? Tough loss, man. Very tough loss. But I mean, again, the Seawolves, I think we all knew coming in, the Seawolves were a very powerful, maybe the most powerful team in the league. And so, it was always going to be a tough battle. I want to pass over to Atticus now. I'm sure maybe you have some questions as well. Atticus, you have any questions for Gilly here?
More looking to the future. My questions. Do you think you've learned enough from this battle to aid you going forward? I know you say and I totally agree. The wind was a lot bigger factor than maybe even I gave it credit for being. It probably was one of the largest factors, and I do understand why you didn't loop to port around that island. Hindsight's 2020, and that probably would have been the best choice. However, in the moment, I've been there. I've admiraled. You see something and you go for it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But is there anything that you can take away from this battle that you think will help you going forward?
I think that our movement out of spawn comparatively to week 1 was a lot better. So I think our sailing's improved quite a bit. So I try to look at the positives from everything. Our shooting probably wasn't on par as it was week 1. So maybe we need to practice more. Maybe the shot calls just weren't there. So something we have to look at internally in regards to why our gunner crews weren't being as efficient as we normally would like them to be. But it also could just have been me too. I put us in a bad position. People were losing cannons before they were able to even fire. So decisions I have to make too. But I do appreciate everyone else. I asked Frankie of the 26th. I've talked to members of the FRL as well about things we would potentially do in this scenario, and we all were kind of on the same page with what we did. And you got to look at the bright side of things and just try to learn from it. We played a really good team too, so there's that as well. You don't want to beat yourself up over playing a really good team. You want to learn from it and try to come back stronger.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yes, one thing you did touch on your fleet maneuvers out of spawn. Yeah, that was very tidy. That I did notice how tidy.
Yeah, I agreed with that 100%. I mean, I thought that was a great opening move, and the map itself is very punishing to start. Like there are maps where it is much easier to start with the wind directly in your face, but the size of the islands and the choke points that they create and the long stretches of shoreline that you have to contend with do not allow you necessarily to be against the wind and have many options in front of you. You have go to the middle, go to the left, go to the right. Going to the middle, I think, would have been suicidal. So definitely that would have been the wrong choice. And I really feel like you guys had it in the beginning. And when I saw that the Seawolves were giving you lots and lots of space, I thought, oh, these guys are going to have plenty of time to set up. And then out of nowhere, boom, they're crossing down the middle at you guys. So yeah, like I say to every team that has experienced a loss in this league, this is the warm up. This is just the beginning. There are so many more battles and so many more learning experiences in front of everybody. And that goes for the victors too. The victories that you get here are going to be some of the easiest victories that you may get with teams who have not completely put the puzzle pieces together on how to get their fleet operating in a perfect way. And that will not last forever. These teams that can't find victory today will absolutely find victory in season 1, which will be coming next year. And so I can't wait to look forward to all the lessons that the both victorious and defeated teams learn from these, and and keep coming back and keep throwing yourselves at the enemies and find your path to victory for your fleet. So again, I thank you both admirals and both teams for participating in the NSL. We love these battles. We love the tactical depth that you guys show, the deep thought process that you put into assembling your teams, preparing your teams, and even if it's whether it's gut instinct or a plan decided ahead of time, there is a lot of thought that goes into how these battles play out. We're really appreciated that you guys put the time and effort into it to make these battles great. So, Gilly, thank you. Chewy, Sabo, thank you guys so much for another great battle in the NSL.
Our pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you to all the mercenaries as
Yeah.
well. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your lives to be here.
Yeah, it's awesome. Very awesome. I'd like to also thank our director for today, Mr. Dr. Professor Esquire. I'd like to thank Atticus for co-hosting. I'd like to thank Spicy, Wavy, Lucius, Mika, Supple, Swaggington, all of our correspondents for giving us such a great, on-deck perspective of the battle. Atticus, anything you want to say to the audience or to the admirals and the correspondents before we close it up for the day?
I'd like to congratulate all admirals on a great match. I'd like to again offer my thanks to the correspondents. You guys are what makes these broadcasts tick. You're the ones who give up the most, in my opinion. I'd like to thank Prof for another great direct, and I'd like to thank the viewers for joining us for this battle.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Your participation, attendance, those views, they mean everything to us, and we cannot wait to continue to give you bigger, better battles in the future. So thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to wrap up the broadcast here. Again, we will see you next Sunday. I cannot wait for another phenomenal battle, and I know that the teams who will be participating are just ready to get out there and show you a great show. So with that, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next time.
I can't wait till October.